Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The issue that I'm bringing to your attention today is one that is considered taboo in nature, as it does not have any clearly defined laws between the delicate threshold of life or death. It is the issue of nuisance laws and how greatly they impact domestic violence against women all over the globe. Domestic violence can be defined as a range of behaviors, some obviously criminal in nature, manipulative, intended to exercise coercive control, including physical, sexual, psychological, and verbal behaviors that are used to dominate someone. The public policy issue is that there are currently 46 countries all over the world that do not provide sufficient legal protection against those who commit acts of domestic violence and those who are affected. Consequently, women who speak out about being domestically abused by their spouse are habitually labeled as a nuisance upon reporting this to the authorities, which discourages them to reach out for help until it's too late. The United Nations conducted a study that reported that the most common form of violence experienced by women around the world is inflicted by their intimate partner. As a global average, at least 1 in 3 women is beaten, coerced into sex, or otherwise abused by their intimate partner at least once in their lifetime. The most vulnerable cases of foreign domestic abuse come from North Korea, where the prevention and protection of domestic violence is not guarded by any specific law. And because there is no legal definition of what constitutes domestic violence, there is no proper rule of law against domestic violence. North Korean citizens have seen rarely any criminal code or regulations being properly enforced, and as a result, they see that rule of law as a scarecrow, just a tactic to dissuade them from committing such violent acts. If a criminal code is enforced, specifically Article 293 of Penal Code 1950, which contains minimal instruction related to domestic violence in all forms, finds a man guilty of rape or sexual assault, this delivers a maximum punishment of up to 2 years of labor training, or if it is a serious offense, up to 2 years of correctional labor penalty. This behavior results in information relating to domestic violence cases in North Korea being difficult to access due to their restrictive political practices. Similar to North Korea, Russia has no specific laws regarding domestic violence either. If a violent act is committed, it falls under the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation, which does not provide for protection orders, which could help potentially keep a woman safe during recurrent violence from her intimate partner. A prime example of the insufficiency of this criminal code are apparent in the case of Liza, who is a 33-year-old kindergarten teacher from Russia. Liza was involved in an abusive relationship with her partner where he continuously, quote, beat, torment, and humiliate her and her 5-year-old son for a whole year. After which she gathered the courage to leave the relationship, he began to stalk her, and Liza notified the police on multiple occasions, saying that he was beating her and he was taking advantage of her. The police responded by saying that that was private family business and that there was nothing that they could do. The following is her account of an attack from the man one day while she was standing outside of her new apartment. I quote, "He pushed me, I fell on the floor, and he kicked me in the stomach. He said it was his dream to meet a pure girl, and I was not pure. He started keeping me up every night, forcing me to tell him the truth about men I've been with before I met him. I started to believe that I was no good. I lost a lot of weight, and my self-esteem was gone. He started beating me more frequently. Once he dunked my head in the toilet. When holidays came, he locked the apartment door and said calmly, 'I will beat the truth out of you.' I called the police and told them that I can't get away from him, and I asked them to help. I waited outside of my apartment building for the police to arrive. Once they arrived, he smirked and he said they will not do anything to me. He was right. They said to me, 'What's the problem?' He seems like a totally normal young man. If you're bothered about the keys and purse he stole from you, just change the locks." The legislative amendments adopted in Russia in February 2017 resulted in decriminalization of first battery offenses among families. meaning that those offenses were now treated as first battery offenses committed by non-family members. And this resulted in a huge loss for women plagued by domestic violence by reducing penalties for perpetrators, making it harder for women to seek prosecution and protection. In fact, in countries like Rwanda, it is perfectly legal for a man to abuse his wife as long as he does not cause her what is known as grievous bodily harm, which can be interpreted in a multitude of ways by any court of law. Studies have shown that women who are abused by their intimate partners are more vulnerable to contracting HIV, STDs, or other STIs due to forced intercourse. Other consequences of domestic violence include physical, mental, sexual, and reproductive health defects, including adolescent pregnancy, unintended pregnancy, miscarriage, gastrointestinal problems, neurological disorders, chronic pain, disability, anxiety, PTSD. These incidents also link victims to a higher risk for developing addictions to alcohol and drugs. Although the United States has distinct laws that they have put in place, such as the 1946 Law of Equality on the Sexes, the sexual harassment of women is still widely traditionally accepted. Studies have shown that 72% of all murder-suicides previously reported to the police as domestic violence cases involve an intimate partner, and 94% of these murder victims are female. With these statistics in mind, it is my call to action to do away with the ideation that reports of domestic violence should fall under any nuisance laws, under any jurisdiction in any country. I also propose to amend Penal Code 1950 and the 1946 Law on Equality of the Sexes to require a thorough investigation of the case of any domestic violence victim of any nature at any time, and absolute reprisal to the highest extent for any person found guilty of domestic violence. On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. For 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. Between 2003 and 2008, 142 women were murdered in the workplace by their abuser, and that totals 78% of women that were killed during that time frame. Domestic violence could be happening to your wife, your sister, your aunt, your grandmother, or your very own daughter in the privacy of their own home, surrounded by people that they thought they could trust. 72% of all murder-suicides involve an intimate partner. Domestic violence is the present situation, or it is the future waiting to happen to the ones that you love the most. Don't wait until it's too late. Thank you.